I saw the other day, iPhone came out with a new thing. They announced that any small app companies with revenues less than $1 million, they're going to lower the 33% to, I think the number was 10 or 15%. And, anybody above $1 million are still keeping the third. So if you do 10 million on apps, they want to keep the $3.3 million, and you keep the $6.7 million. And we were sitting and having a conversation on the podcast, and I sat there and I said, look what a great net Apple has created. If you want music, you got to go through iTunes. If you want to download an app, you pretty much got to go through iTunes. If you want to do, group text and put a thumbs up and you're a Droid, I'm not, I'm Apple, you can't get the thumbs up, right? And if you want to, send a group text, sometimes even in a group text, a Droid and an iPhone, the group doesn't go out. If you want to do, there's so many different things that you look at with the net that they've done. My biggest concern becomes, as I look at the market share, I pulled this up. You're the expert here. I'm curious to know what you think about it. 2020 Q3 market share US. I have US and I have worldwide in front of me. Worldwide, it's a different story. Yeah. But in US, Apple's got 40%. By the way, Q2 sales was 46%. And Samsung was 25%. So if you look at the numbers, it's relatively 46%, 25% Samsung, 12% LG, then it's 7% Lenovo, then it's 10% others, right? So you got Huawei and whatever other phones that may be, minus the sanction that they have. You go worldwide, Samsung's at the top. So I'm not going worldwide. I'm going specifically in the US. How does somebody compete with Apple and smartphone in the US? How do you take market share away from them? I mean, they have you tied in. Yeah. So, you're locked in. You got to have an iPhone. How do you beat those guys?
Yeah, they've built up, I did a video about this called just the ecosystem. They've built up not just the iPhone, which has obviously a pretty big head start on a lot of other people trying to get market share, but they've built up products that are great products that are tied to the iPhone. I'm wearing an Apple Watch right now. In my opinion, it's the best smartwatch you can buy. It's only available if you have an iPhone. AirPods are some of the most popular headphones on earth that you can only really get the most value out of if you use an iPhone. And it just keeps going and going. There are other products, they all tie into this ecosystem. And so it turns out if you want to compete with Apple on market share of the phone, you have to compel not just people to switch to your phone, but people to switch to your ecosystem of products that are tied to the phone, which they're all starting to do. You see other wireless headphone competitors, you see other services competitors. Some even do things that Apple doesn't do. Like when you look at Google's Pixel line, you start to see Google Photos integration, you start to see other Google services plugged in more tightly. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of people already in Apple's ecosystem who, even if they could switch for free, probably wouldn't, because they're just so happy with the products that they've all tied in. So it's tough. You got to really make a compelling series of reasons for them to switch to a bunch of other products instead of just getting rid of the iPhone, because getting rid of the iPhone means getting rid of a lot of stuff.
Which one of the nets, or which one of the elements of the ecosystem do you think locks in the most users? You think it's the apps? You think it's more the hardware, like the watch? What do you think it is that locks us into Apple?
In the US, it's definitely iMessage. And I see this as far, like if I put my SIM card in an iPhone, I carry an iPhone specifically because I have iMessage only contacts, people who just use iMessage. It's not so much the case worldwide. If you look at, like you mentioned, other areas, they buy phones just based on the hardware. Like Huawei is gigantic in China because people don't necessarily care about the iPhone's hardware, and iMessage is not really useful to them. So in the US, it's for sure iMessage. Then I think you might see some pull from like just hardware accessories. The headphones, the cases, the apps. The App Store is obviously a huge one, but I think it's iMessage here.